Okay guys, welcome back to today's podcast, and today we're going to do a teacher interview of our freshman English teacher, Coach Hardy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do at CHS?
This is my fourth year at Kimballsville High School. I teach freshman English, I coach football, and I coach tennis. I also have a middle grades arts and humanities class, but I was an Eagle graduate back in 2006, and I bleed purple. So I'm ready for this interview.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Okay. In your opinion, what makes CHS different?
What makes us different, I think it's because we're a small school, very family-oriented staff. Classes aren't necessarily big, so it allows us to become more in tune with the students. Students are able to become more in tune with themselves, with each other. It's not necessarily a laid-back school, but I think for the most part, a lot of people feel somewhat comfortable here. There's not a lot of clickiness to it. I think that's kind of been a big part in what has allowed us to move to where we are now as far as academically, to where we made such big improvements and big jumps statewide. And I think our school is different in a way that we are better than all the other schools, in my opinion.
Okay. What made you want to become a teacher?
My parents are teachers. Everyone in my family teaches. I tried to run away from that growing up, and I said I never want to be a teacher, and it just felt right. And not only does it feel right, but I'm here because not just from my love to teach, but because that's what I feel like I'm actually called to do as a Christian, and I feel like this is something that has been blessed to me to where I get to work with you all and other students. And so it's not just necessarily I said one day I want to be a teacher. I've kind of felt led to do it in that sense. And so it's kind of like the family business is what I call it.
What are your goals as a teacher?
To just get better every day, to improve my craft, so to speak. I don't have necessarily an agenda for where I want to be this year, the next year, the next year. I just want to improve and get better and continue to do the best that I can in hopes that that trickles down to the students so that they have that same type of drive.
What is the worst part that you would say of your job?
You probably won't believe me, but because I genuinely love what I do, there's no part that jumps out to where I say, man, this is a drag, or that this is the worst part. I think that for the sake of an answer, maybe just trying to follow all the restrictions of the state as far as curriculum, how we're able to approach you all as students as far as like standardized tests and things like that. I feel like that's probably the only part that is bad. It has nothing to do with you all as students or teaching you all. I think it's just some of the restrictions that teachers have as far as how we can teach and what we teach would probably be the only part.
Okay. How did your first year of teaching go, and how did you feel on the first day?
First day, I was nervous as crap. I mean, it was, and my first day wasn't at this school. My first day was actually at St. Charles Middle School in Marion County, and I came in at the middle of the year. I came in January, and so the students that were in that class already had a set routine, and so I came in and mixed it all up. And so it was very nerve-wracking. It was a little bit overwhelming because in your first year of teaching, you have to do what's called a K-TIP, which is an internship, and so there's a lot of paperwork that comes with it. I have to be observed by administrators, by other staff members, and so there's a lot of hoops that I have to jump through, and which it's still kind of like that today as far as my routine in the classroom and how we're observed and how we're graded, so to speak, for our job. But it was a pretty overwhelming experience. It was a good one, and it taught me to be the way that I am now, and it helped me get to where I am now. But I will never ever forget my first day. We'll say that.
What do you struggle with most in English?
Gosh, probably I talk a little too much sometimes, I think, from what my students tell me. Sometimes I'm not good at it, and you all might agree. Sometimes whenever I really get in the zone and I'm talking about a certain topic, Obviously, you all know that I'm very passionate about English, but sometimes I would go into this rant about something, and so I've got to do better about just kind of stepping back and letting you all do what you're good at doing, and not thinking that I have to lecture about every single thing. Kind of giving you all more responsibility as students, because with English, I mean, you've got a lot of stuff that you cover, just like any subject, but like with the writing and even the reading, sometimes I would try to take a little bit too much control, and so I just need to learn how to step back, because English doesn't necessarily have to all be lecture-based to where I'm doing all the talking. So.
How do you keep your cool when students act
I just remain calm. For me, I mean, I'm a very easygoing person, so my answer is going to be a whole lot different from everyone else. It takes a lot to really frustrate me, and if I'm really, really frustrated, it's probably hard to tell. I try to stay as calm as possible, because sometimes if I lose my cool, then that can be the difference of, I mean, a kid being embarrassed, or me saying something that I shouldn't say, or that I regret saying, or making the situation worse. And so I've kind of taught myself to, even in the worst situations, to remain cool, because that's something that you all as students need to be able to see for your future situations, in which remaining cool is very important. So for me, it's just stepping back, maybe saying something to myself, taking a breath, or giving it some time to settle, and if need be, then I can pull the student or students out in the hallway, or I can just kind of calm myself down and go sit at my desk for a minute, or something that doesn't create more problem.
If you didn't work at CHS, where do you see yourself being?
Gosh, hopefully nowhere else. Really, I mean, that's a tough question, but I don't have a specific place that I would want to work. I love working here. This is my home to me, and I did work at Marion County Schools, and I enjoyed that. And I would work anywhere that I'm led to work, or anywhere that I was called to work to, but hopefully, Lord willing, I will never have to work anywhere else in Campbellsville. But if that's a part of my future, then I don't have any specific place. As long as I get to teach, it doesn't matter where it's at.
Fun questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Those are serious questions. We have
Yeah.
fun questions
Oh, okay.
too. What is your most, well, if you feel like sharing this, what is your most embarrassing or stupid memory from high school?
From high school? My parents were teachers. Let's see. I'll be honest here. I want to say, I can't remember whose classroom I was in. I was always afraid to get in trouble in class, because my parents were always just either a door away or a hallway away. And so it was a little bit different from other kids, you know, where they phone a parent, or you just get written up, go to detention, or go to BR or something. All they had to do was say, Mr. Hardy or Miss Hardy, come here real quick. And so anytime I ever got in trouble, it was very easy for my parents to come and find me. So in high school, I want to say that I can't remember where I was, but I had disrupted class. I don't know if I was on my cell phone, or if I was talking out loud or something. I did something that the teacher didn't like. And my dad, down the hall, was motioned to come to the classroom, and the teacher didn't say this. They didn't say, Tyler, we're getting your dad. They just stepped out, and lo and behold, whenever I'm sitting there knowing that I'm going to get in trouble, my dad walks into the room and busts me out in front of all my friends. And so I was very embarrassed, because one, I got in trouble. Two, my parent, unlike anyone else in the room, was in the room. And three, I got in trouble by my dad and the teacher at the time. So it was kind of like a double whammy of being embarrassed in front of the class as a whole. So that's, for me, that's the most embarrassing moment, because no one else really has to have a parent in the room with them.
What was the best and worst thing about our class last year?
The best and the worst
And
thing.
the worst, yeah.
Okay, the best was, I would say, because you all were always open to try new things. Your all's class was kind of like an experimental year for different types of lesson deliveries. And whenever I say that, I mean like, for instance, Socratic seminars, or taking a different approach to how we do poetry, which I know you all love getting up and speaking in front of the class. But getting you all to sit with different people and getting out of your comfort zones. And so even though there was a little bit of resistance, you all, for the most part, would always accept those challenges, and you would take on the new challenges, and you all were open for just different types of lessons. And there never was really any disrespect or frustration to where you all wouldn't do it. And so I thought that was very cool and very important for you all as students, because it made my teaching easier, since you all were willing to just accept what I was throwing at you. Worst, I mean, and just because I'm interviewing you, it's not that there's no fear of me saying that there was a worst part of your class, but there's really nothing that sticks out as far as things that you all just made me miserable with. I think the only thing that you all struggled with was Socratic seminar, getting out of the comfort zones to where everyone would talk. You would kind of hear the same voices. And I know those were some of your most frustrating days in that class, because it would usually lead to argument versus conversation. And then that would lead to people kind of stomping out of the room because no one really wanted to participate like you should have. But outside of that, there was no, like, where I was thinking, man, what a terrible day. Because you all were a great class. But I would say that's probably about it. Just being able to get out of your comfort zones to where everyone felt like it was okay to talk, and whenever someone disagreed with you, it wasn't necessarily an attack on your character, it was just they disagreed with you. And I think your all's class, up until the end of the year, really struggled with how you all could gel together to where that type of lesson would work. So.
Yeah, we gave the Socratic seminar some nicknames.
I'm sure you have.
Was it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Oh, okay. I lost track. Favorite celebrity and why?
Favorite celebrity? Man. No, I know that's your all's.
No, hers, not
Hers, well, yeah, yours. Gosh, I would say I'm a big comedian guy. I love people that make me laugh, because I'm humorous myself, as you all remember from last year. I love to joke around, and I love to be serious too when it's needed. But I would say one of my favorite celebrities was Robin Williams, even though he's not with us anymore. But some of my all-time favorite movies include Robin Williams roles. And in fact, like we watched last year, Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams, as he plays John Keating, was one of the big things that kind of motivated me to finally transition into wanting to be a teacher. Good Will Hunting, he plays a counselor in that, but he's also a professor, and his ability to take on comedy roles, but then also being very serious and real world, I can't think of anyone else really that exceeds that as far as actors and actresses go. So.
Is it true that teachers gossip just like their students?
Oh yeah. I don't think it's to the extent of what you all might think gossip is, but you would be very surprised that a lot of our conversations out of the classroom don't have a lot to do with what we're doing in the classroom. Usually it's kind of like you all. We're talking about what we're going to do over the weekend, or plans for the day or that evening, or things that are going on in each other's lives, and which I'm sure that varies with every school. But like I was mentioning before, Camsville High School, the staff is very small, and so we're very family oriented, and we're close to each other. And so we have a strong understanding for family members and routines, hobbies, things that we like to do in and out of the class. And so we do gossip, but I don't think it's what you all might consider the level of gossip that takes place. We might walk out and say, hey, is so-and-so acting like this in your class too? Or what's going on with this person? Are they okay? But it's not really a whole lot, because usually whenever we step out of the classroom, or if we're at home, or if we're maybe at a ball game, we do enough teaching and talking about students and working with students as it is. So usually our conversations, we try to keep it outside the realm of teaching, unless it's in meetings, or if we're talking with other teachers in our subject area.
Favorite sports teams?
Favorite sports teams? UK all the way, 100%. For professional leagues, I would say football, it's St. Louis Rams. We're struggling right now. NBA, I'm a Bulls fan, and I've always been a Bulls fan. But I also like to follow the teams that the UK players play for. For baseball, I'm a Reds fan. I don't get to watch as much baseball. I do in the summertime, but not much with the opening. For soccer, I'm a big Atletico Madrid fan. And for hockey, I like the Predators. It's close to us, Nashville. And even with soccer, going back to soccer, Louisville City, new team within our state, I'm kind of following that a little bit more. But my main ones are usually just football and basketball. And then the other sports is kind of like leisure time that I watch. So.
Do you ever listen in on the drama that happens between the students?
I've got ears everywhere. Like I said, I'm very in tune with my students, and even though, and you all probably picked up on it last year, maybe not, I'm very in the know about what students say, and especially in my classroom. I'm very good at acting like I'm not listening, but I am listening. I'm very good at listening to what's happening all around me, even though majority of the time I'm not acknowledging it unless I need to. Because if it's just playful conversation, then I could care less. It's in one ear, not the other, but I hear it. But I like to do that not so I can be in the know of the students. It's more or less so that I can just kind of be understanding of what's taking place. Sometimes students will kind of send out red flags in conversations that they might want me to hear, even though they're acting like they don't. And so it's kind of like a teaching strategy versus me just trying to listen in on the gossip, if that makes sense.
Do you know what I looked at you for?
What?
That day we were talking about somebody and then you started freaking out because you thought you heard. Remember that? We weren't talking about you, but we were talking about someone else.
It's all good.
Okay. Oh, it's your turn. Yeah, 'cause I asked that.
A lot of the serious questions are my fun questions, so before you decided to become a teacher, have you ever considered any other career?
Yeah, I went into politics before I did education. I went to UK for 2 years and I started to do political science. And I thought I wanted to be either a lawyer or a lobbyist or even a professor or teacher of political science. And I really had no idea where I wanted to go with it. I just know that I liked politics because I can teach social studies as well, social studies and English. But after 2 years of it and with how politics are today, I just got really burnt out on it. I feel like I wasn't really learning about politics. I was just learning about who I'm supposed to support, and I didn't like that. And so I got out of that, kind of got into the history, English area, and that led me to teaching. But before teaching, whenever I was still in that stage of I'm not being a teacher, I was into political science and I wanted to do something along those lines.
Who was your favorite teacher in high school?
My favorite teacher was Coach Skaggs. He taught chemistry. He was a science teacher in general, which, I mean, some of the teachers that are still in the school today I had, and I'm not just trying to butter them up because there was a video camera on me, but a lot of the teachers that are in the school that I had were phenomenal teachers. And I loved all of them. I think that's a Campbellsville thing because we're a small school. I can say that about a lot of my teachers. But my all-time favorite was Coach Skaggs. I knew him almost my whole life, along with some of the other teachers, because my parents worked at this school and worked with him. And he was one of the first teachers that I kind of got to know real well. And he just, I don't know, I was never a big science math person. And in his class, he was notorious for every single day he had some type of experiment that he showed. And so he made me love science. And I'm not saying anything against any of the other teachers, because again, I had Miss Doss, I had Miss Dickin, and they were awesome teachers that prepared me very well for college. And Coach Skaggs, him and I, we clicked very well, more so than other teachers, and so he's definitely my all-time fave.
Is there anything you'd like to ask us?
Ooh, that's a dangerous question. How do you, I'm gonna put you on the spot then. Since this, I'm guessing y'all don't have any other questions for me?
I ran out.
I ran out.
You ran out? Okay, then I will end with this question where I get to interview you. Are you all nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit? What is your all's thoughts about Campbellsville High School. And I'm gonna leave that as a broad statement because I'm gonna just see where you all go with it, and it's okay to sit and think about it for a minute. But how do you all feel about the direction that the school's going? I'm big time putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I think overall it's a really good school. As far as the clickiness you mentioned earlier, I shouldn't talk about that. I really shouldn't.
Maybe I was wrong about that.
Well, we probably just see more of it,
Yeah.
but it's like no, not being rude, but it's horrible.
Okay, good.
But Elizabeth, your turn.
I would say the same thing that you said. It's very family oriented, and like the classes are really small, and you kind of get that one-on-one learning.
Uh-huh.
And then the clique, I think we see more of it, but I think as we've gotten older, the clique is like slowly like going away, kind of, but not really. Yeah.
Good job, y'all handled that well. You like how I flipped it into an interview of you all? Well, good. Well, I don't have any other questions for you all. I appreciate you all interviewing me. This has been fun.
We appreciate you.
Thank
letting
you.
us interview. So,
Thank you all. Now the awkward ending.
Yeah.